Make sure you can hear me okay and you can see me okay. Please let me know in the chat. Okay, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about fretboard visualization and how important it is to what it is we're trying to do. We're going to be celebrating, I've got a new course, Essential Scales, that is now available, and you can check that out. There's going to be a chat. I'm sure somebody will throw a link over there in the chat, and you can check that out. Hey, Sean, how you doing? Hey, Tim. Hey, Michael. My guitar noise, Sergi. Peter is here. Hey, Peter. Nice to see you. Rasta Kaz is here. Awesome. So we have lots of people coming in already. So anyway, I've been sick all weekend. So I haven't had a chance to play, so it feels good to play a little bit. Anyway, so if you remember last Friday, I started a series on essential scales. We're doing some live workshops, and I was talking about some things to try and prep yourself for what we're doing this week. We talked about meandering, different kinds of things like that. Hey, Hector. Hey, Bob. Hey, Douglas. Demetrio is here. Hey, Demetrio. Bo is here. Martin is here. Bob is here. Daniel is here. We just have lots of people here. Thank you so much for everybody showing up. Mike Rudolph is here. So what we're going to be doing today is I want to give you some different ideas. Now, today is going to be based off pentatonic, and then Wednesday is going to be based off diatonic, and then Friday I actually will be out of town, but Friday I'm going to pre-record something for you that will talk about modes. Okay? So what I want to do today is, and again, if you know a lot about pentatonics, this might not be something for you, but if you're kind of new to soloing and you're trying to see your fretboard and trying to visualize some different things, that's what I'd like to help you out with today. Jeff says, what kind of guitar were you playing this morning? The Floyd Rose? It was a Floyd Rose. Yep. Was it Floyd Rose? It was, yes. And let's see here. Dayton is here. Sergi is here. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So what I want to do is I want to show you some of the visualization of the fretboard and how it reoccurs over and over and over, even though it might not seem like it sometimes. And the reason I want to talk about this is when I first started playing, I learned how to play like the first position of minor pentatonic, for instance. And I didn't know how to do anything. And I remember somebody showing me how to do this thing where I went, and I played kind of across the fretboard this way, and I thought that was super cool because I'd never done that before. I was just stuck in this one position playing, and I couldn't get out of that. And so I thought what I would do today is I would just try and show you a few different things that might help you in trying to visualize things sort of quickly in case you want to move around the fretboard and find some cool things to do. Maka, thank you so much. Love the content. Maka says thank you so much. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So what I want to do here, I'm going to switch over to this camera angle. Let's say we're in A, okay? And I've got my A minor pentatonic. Sitting right there. But what I want to do is I want to try and visualize this in smaller chunks across the fretboard. Now, in order to do this, I do need to know where my root is. And in this case, my root is A, right? Excuse me. So I have an A here, and an A here, and an A here, and an A here, and, whoops, sorry, A here, and an A here. And let me show you, just real quick before we even get started, I'm going to show you a little shortcut to try and learn these if you have a hard time knowing where some of these notes are. There's a really easy way of doing this, and we don't have to do the whole fretboard right now, but I'll just kind of show you this very quickly, and then you can watch it later if you need to. If I'm in the A bar chord shape right here, I know I've got A's sitting right here. Okay, so 6th string, 4th string, and 1st string. I also, on that side of this, I have A's right here. They're the same A's, but now they're on 6th string and 3rd string and first string. And again, I don't want to spend way too much time because we could literally just take this whole thing and just talk about that. But I just want to show you this. You can go back and watch it again. You can take what I'm doing and memorize it. And of course, if you want to play these in different, over something other than A, you can just shift the whole thing down. But so I find my A on the 6th string. I find these and these. Okay? And then from this one, that A right there, what I do is I find this A as well. So I'm playing a 7th fret of the 4th string and a 10th fret of the 2nd string. So I'm doing the string skip there. Where this A is, where my pinky is, I'm going to back up to the 10th or 12th fret of the 5th string, and I've got an A there. See how I'm just visualizing? They're just connecting from each other as I go up the fretboard. When I get here, I go from 12th fret to 14th fret on the 4th string, or 3rd string, excuse me. Okay, and now I'm back where I started from right here. So I've got A on the 3rd string, and then the 6th string, and the 1st string. And then it's going to start all over again. Okay? I don't know if my guitar is a little out of tune, but we'll worry about that later. Yeah, it is a little out of tune. So am I. So, yeah, I just haven't been feeling well lately, but we'll get through this. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. If that kind of makes sense, that's a great place to start. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start going in here and just building little chunks off of those A notes. So let's say, for instance, I found this A, and I played the first part of the pentatonic, the first 4 notes. Okay, so I'm playing 1, 4, 1, 3. 1, 4, 1, 3. So now if I find another A, I'll start with my first finger and play 1, 4, 1, 3. See that? I go to this A. So wherever I find an A, I'm going to play 1, 4, 1, 3. Now, the only thing that's going to throw a wrench in this, and this is why you need to use your ear a little bit, is that the tuning is off when you get to the 3rd and 2nd strings, right? So sometimes when you play this, you'll notice I'm playing 1st to pinky, 1st to 3rd. Here I'm playing 1st to pinky, 1st to 3rd. But if I was to go here to this A and play 1st to pinky, 1st to 3rd, it wouldn't work. I have to move this one on the 2nd string up to accommodate that tuning change between the 3rd and the 2nd string. But if you use your ear, you'll get used to hearing that, okay? So that's one thing to get used to, is thinking on this side, if we're starting with our first finger on our root. Now I'm doing A, but you could do this anywhere you want. I can add those 4 notes anywhere I want. And so that way, if I come up with an idea that I like, as long as I know where my E is, or my A is, I can find that anywhere I go across the fretboard. Now let's add a note in between there. We're going to add our blues note in there, which is going to exist right between the last 2 notes of my 4-note sequence. So if you ever want to know where your blues note is, what you can do is just go to that 4-note sequence and add it in between those 2 notes right there. And that way, again, if I come up to this A, or this A, or this A, or this A, okay? So hopefully that kind of makes sense, where I'm not visualizing entire shapes. I'm just taking, okay, well, hold on a second here. My guitar noises says I'm lost already. Well, let me know what you're lost on. And remember, the beauty of video is, because we only have so much time together and my voice is only going to hold up for a certain amount of time here, you can always go back and watch this, and you can always check out my essential solos, or essential scales course, excuse me, where I'm going to be talking about all this stuff. We're putting together scales and how to visualize them across the fretboard so your soloing comes out better. Hey, X Metal 335, how you doing? So again, for step number 1, you're finding where your root is, whatever root, and I would suggest picking a key that you tend to play in a lot. Don't keep constantly moving different keys until you've really established something. So, for instance, I'm using A. It's a very common thing for us to do. and I'm visualizing those A's across the fretboard. That would be step one. That would be great for you to memorize, okay? But you don't have to play this everywhere. Maybe you're only playing it in a couple of positions that you're learning on the guitar already. You know, there's a lot of different ways you could approach this. But the point is, what I'm doing is I'm creating a visual shape that functions as I keep moving around the guitar. So if you think about it, I'm playing the notes A, C, D, and E. A, C, D, and E. So if I think about the shape that I'm playing, 1, 4, 1, 3, the notes I'm playing are A, C, D, and E. The shape I'm playing is first finger, pinky, first finger, third finger, okay? Or large shape, small shape, if you think of it like that. Okay, now if I go find another A, I can do that large and small shape somewhere else. Right? As I move around the guitar, I can keep finding this. So now the last thing I talked about was I could take that 4-note sequence, the large and small shapes, and now I could add that note in between on the small shape, which gives me the blues note. Wherever it is I find an A, as long as I'm thinking that shape, you see? And it makes it really nice because if I'm playing, let's say I'm soloing and I want to go somewhere else. So I decide I want to come up here. I can just find that shape because I've done it here. I can find those notes somewhere else, but I have to know where that A is, right? Okay, so hopefully that's kind of making sense. Now I'm going to show you another one, okay? So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on that side of the A, where I was working on this side before, and I'm going to work on that side. So I'm going to go to this note A right here, but this time I'm going to it with my third finger instead. Instead of my first finger, I'm going to my third finger. And I'm going to play 4 notes again. The A is the second of 4 notes. So I've got this, this, and this, but I also want to play the note in front of it as well. So I'm actually playing. And I just have to know that the second note of that 4-note sequence is where my A is, obviously, right? So anytime I want to play this, I'm going to put my third finger on an A and find those 4 notes. So if I find another A somewhere, or another A somewhere, or an A here, or here. Now notice again, as I do this on the 14th fret, I've got to shift the second half of that up because of the tuning between the second and third strings. But you can hear it. See, it's the same thing no matter where I go, okay? So this is a really great way of being able to find your way around the fretboard. Now, we're not done. I got something super cool to show you if you've never done this before, okay? So what we're going to do next is I'm going to add in a blues note again. So I'm taking those same 4 notes. Now this time the blues note, or blue note, whatever you want to call it, is located with my pinky right above on the second set of strings here. Right there. So you can go to it with your pinky, or maybe you do a cool little slide. And again, as long as you're seeing that 4-note sequence, you see? So when I was learning this stuff, again, what I want you to always remember is it's very important that you understand that I'm not trying to go too fast for you. It's just we have a limited amount of time. Because when I was first learning this stuff, if someone had shown me all these, the first thing I would try and do is I would try and play them all. And then most of the time I would wind up very confused and I couldn't use it. So what I want to remind you is that if you're kind of new to this sort of thing, don't worry about playing everything I'm talking about. Just take something, even if it's just working on this side with the first finger on the root, and just getting used to playing that in a couple of spots. Even if you did just that, you'd be successful with it, right? You would have learned something new. But I want to try and give you as many of these things as I can. And the beauty of video is that you can always watch a little bit and then just stop. And then just try and work with whatever you learn. And if you feel good, come on back and learn some more. Just like the guitar course, right? If you check out Essential Scales, and you like it, there's all kinds of stuff in there, and it doesn't mean you have to go through the whole course right away. You just go through a little bit of each one as you go, okay? So let's keep working off of here. So I've got my blues note now. Doing whatever it is I want to do off of that, finding the A with my ring finger wherever I go. So as long as I can find an A, see, I can find that. Whether I want to play it with my pinky or I want to slide or whatever it is that I might like to do. So now we've got two things. We've got working with the first finger on the root, which is A, and then we've got the other side working with the third finger on the root, which is A. Right? So you want to visualize those two. Now the next thing I want to show you is what I found really cool when I was a kid, was how to connect them together, how to lock them together to get you across the fretboard. Again, maybe you don't know all your positions and you're still learning all that kind of stuff. This is a great way to simply kind of connect you across the fretboard. So let's say, for instance, I'm using this. Okay, I'm going to go back to the first one I did. And I'm going to leave out the blues note for now. I'm just going to play the 4 notes. Right? Wherever I have an A, I can go to. But here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a 5th note to this sequence, which is going to help me to connect these together. So watch this. If I play... So I'm just adding another pentatonic note there. I'm adding the note G. But what happens there is when I add that note in, it's propelled me now to the 4th string. So now if I simply move up a whole step higher, I'm on A, an octave higher than when I started from, and I can do the exact same thing again. So now look at what I've got. So 2 of the same thing, and the connectivity of it is from that 5th note that I'm playing. I just move up a whole step higher. Excuse me. Okay, so if I find that, anywhere I go where I find an A, see, no matter where I go, I can find that and I can work off of that, okay? Now, sometimes, of course, I'm going to run out of strings, right? I mean, that's going to happen, and I can't finish up the sequence that I was playing. But I certainly can at least put 2 or 3 of these together as I move. Or here. Right? So I can kind of see those as I'm moving around. Now let's take the same idea, okay? And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work off the 4 on that side. Remember, my 3rd finger was starting with the A, and I had these 4 notes. Now, I do have the blues note, but I'm going to leave that off for now, just to make this easier. So now I'm going to add in a 5th note again to this sequence. So now the 5th note is located on the 2nd string of this sequence. So it's not propelling us to another string, it's propelling us up the fretboard. And now watch, right above me, I can connect to the next group of 4 each time. Okay, so again, if you know where your A is, and you got your group of 4, your block of 4 there, you move up, that connects you, that sets you up for the next block of 4 that's sitting right below you if I'm talking toward the floor here, above you if I'm talking pitch, that direction. See? So there's a lot of really cool ways that you can visualize the fretboard. It doesn't just have to be, positions or blocks or patterns or whatever you want to call it. There's nothing wrong with those. I see those too. But it's nice to see this connectivity because it's a nice way of being able to move you across the fretboard If you want something like that, or if you do a lick, I always think about the old Angus Young stuff where he'd be doing something. And you could use that to move you around the fretboard to get somewhere else. You could keep doing that kind of lick and kind of play wherever it is you're going, okay? So hopefully this is helping. Looks like it is. This is great. Perfect. All right, good. It looks like a lot of you are really getting this, which is great. Okay, I'm going to give you one more thing to think about, and this one's a little bit weird, so you got to try and follow me. But what used to drive me crazy is I would look at, again, in my mind, the first position of minor pentatonic, the second position of minor pentatonic, excuse me, the third position of minor pentatonic, the fourth position, okay? And they all looked different. Like, it didn't make any sense why this was working. I understood that the notes were being repeated, but the shapes didn't make any sense because they were all so different. And then I got to thinking one time, and I used to teach this to my students all the time, and you got to try and bear with me now because it gets a little weird, and please remember that the stupid tuning between the second and third is always going to throw off your visualization a little bit, so you have to be prepared for that. But let me show you this. Okay, so let's say we took this position of A minor pentatonic, just this first position right here. Now, this string and this string are both E strings. So for our experiment here, what we're going to do is we're going to throw away one of the E strings, and it wouldn't matter which one, but we're going to pretend like it doesn't exist. And in this first instance, I'm going to pretend like, let's pretend like this one doesn't exist. Okay, so the sixth string is gone. So if I play my pentatonic without the sixth string, I have three groups of 1-3 in terms of fingers, and then two groups of 1-4. So I'm playing 1-3, 1-3, 1-3, 1-4. Now, if I brought back the sixth string and I removed the first string, I'd have a 1-4 and then 1-3, 1-3, 1-3, and then 1-4. So the point is that it's gonna shift over each other, but you're always thinking three groups of 1-3 and then two groups of 1-4. Okay, it's just sometimes it's gonna curl around to the other side, and I'll show you that in just a second. So let's take a look at the second, and just always remember that two groups of 1-3 or three groups of 1-3, excuse me, two groups of 1-4. So if I look at the second position, I have 1-3 all by itself. And then I've got two groups of 1-4. And then I've got my other 1-3, 1-3 sitting right there. Now, if I was to take this string off, I've got two groups of 1-4 and then three groups of 1-3. You see that? So my 1-3, those are octaves. You see? So every position has two groups of 1-4 and three groups of 1-3. The order in which they're going to happen is going to shift each time because of the tuning of the guitar, but it's a pretty cool idea. If you're following what I'm saying, let me give you the next position. And again, it's okay if you don't know all these all these positions. I'm sorry about coughing. So if I go to the next position here, I'm going to start off playing three groups of 1-3 and then two groups of 1-4. Although they are going to be off-centered because of that tuning. And then I've got a single 1-3 left over because, again, these two are always repeating each other. But you can see it right there. There's my 1-3, 1-3, 1-3. See that? So there is a pattern to this pentatonic from a visualization guitar perspective, is being able to see the 1-3, 1-3, 1-3, and then 1-4, 1-4. I'm talking about fingers, not frets, and how that repeats over and over and over on the guitar. So if you just get used to the fact that you're going to get some, lone wolves out there that don't really fit, and they do fit. It's just if, for instance, in the second position, if I play a 1-3 and that's all I got, and then I got two 1-4s, the other two 1-3s are on the other side. They're just waiting for me on the other side, okay? So hopefully that kind of makes sense to you, and that's something that you could practice a little bit to try and get used to that, okay? Yeah, Bryce says you can, that's a great thing to say, Bryce. you can give us the information, but you cannot understand it for us. And what I want you to always, thank you, Bryce. And what I want you to always remember is that, as I said a little bit earlier, don't feel overwhelmed when I give you this content, because I'd rather give you more stuff to work on and then you just shut me up by stopping the video. And then just work with what you've got, because if you can make a connection to even just a little bit of it, you can go, oh, cool, this is something brand new that I can work on, and I can go from there. And and if you've already got that part, you can come back and get more. If you're a player that already has some of this, you can find something maybe a little bit further into it that can help you. So anyway, hopefully that helps you. That makes sense. If you're interested, please do me a favor. Click on the link over in the chat somewhere for the Essential Scales course. If you need some help learning how to visualize your scales and understand them better, being able to break them apart on the fretboard, and then learn how to kind of see the whole thing as one flow. Hopefully that that helps you a little bit. So anyway, take care. Remember, on Wednesday, 2 days from now, I'm going to be going live at the same time again, and we're going to be talking about diatonic scales a little bit and trying to understand the relationship between pentatonic and diatonic and how we get from or to pentatonic to diatonic. So we kind of understand a little bit more, because oftentimes we tend to think they're two different things, and they're not. They're actually very much connected, and we very much want to use both of those when we're writing or when we're improvising or whatever it might be. So, all right, everybody, take care, stay positive, keep practicing, and I'll see you on Wednesday, okay?